we'll get started here. So, good morning, everybody. Um, we have a, a new uh, webinar for you all today. So you'll have to let us know how we do. Give us some feedback on it. We're going to be talking about Microsoft's Power Platform. Um, my name's Jeremy Cherney. I'm your presenter today, and also have the pleasure of being also the person who um, helps out other ways at Tobin in different ways. I'm one of the founders. I'm the president, and one of the things I get to do often is talk about technology, and that's what I'm really excited to do with you all here today. And what I really want to do is today we're going to be doing kind of a introduction. There's a lot of material inside of Power Platform that we're going to talk about, as you'll discover, and each one of these applications could be a whole week or 2 weeks of training if we did it that way. So really, tonight it's more about just getting you excited about something, getting you interested. Is there some component of this that you could be using? So we're going to talk about some opportunities to do that. Um, so take a moment right now, grab a piece of paper, grab something to write with, or grab your keyboard, however you take notes, and start to think about, you know, because we're going to talk about some business tools. We're going to talk about um, ways of looking at your business processes and having the opportunity to say, hey, is there a piece here that we can automate or add on, improve in a way that we wanted to improve, but we haven't had time to, or didn't think we had the capability to because we didn't think we had the technology available. So start to think about all these different areas of your business and where, what pops to mind. What's a problem you want to solve? And usually when you think about a problem, it's what is that? Who are you trying to make some result happen? Are you trying to get more done with less time or less people? So come up with 2 or 3 different areas, just so they kind of, even if you don't know how you're going to fix them, just know where you might want to, we've got some challenges. All right. So if you're new to this, I see a couple names on there that maybe I haven't seen before. So welcome. And, part of what we're talking about is the Microsoft Power Platform. It's part of the Microsoft ecosystem that's up in the cloud. And really, it's more than just Microsoft 365. Microsoft has, Microsoft 365 itself is a specific bundling of Microsoft's services and offerings, and they have different ways they bundle those. And I like to think of it like a Swiss Army knife because there's just, there are so many things Microsoft offers and so many things it can do. And just like a Swiss Army knife, while you can use one of these tools to do certain tasks that maybe it wasn't designed for, doesn't mean you can't do it. Just means maybe if you had used the other tool or knew how to use it, it might be a little easier. Might be the kind of thing that makes it, less effort, less struggle. You can do more of them. So that's Microsoft's world. And how do we help with all of that? At Tobin, we provide security. It's one of the first things we do, and we'll talk about why that's so important. We help with training. We help with support around 365, setup administration, especially if you've got an older account. You might want to have us take a look at it. There's different aspects of security that Microsoft's added since maybe when you first got things set up. Uh, once things are working well, how can you use it? That helps means sitting down and understanding your business, understanding how you have things set up, talk about what you want to do. And yeah, so a lot of things we can do. So we're your Swiss Army knife too. You got Swiss Army knife with Microsoft with lots of tools and Swiss Army knife with Tobin with lots of solutions for you. And the reasons when I say that is you have a responsibility to manage your own data with Microsoft. You have a responsibility to manage your own devices and your accounts and identities, meaning your usernames, passwords, things like that. So that is stuff that you're responsible for. And people make mistakes with that all the time. Or and I say make mistakes, either they do it incorrectly and leave themselves vulnerable, or they make the mistake of being complacent. They make the mistake of thinking they got it, or Microsoft has it all handled without really knowing, how it's set up. So you want to make sure that you're partnering with somebody that's taking a look at it and managing it, and because it's a moving target in some cases. As technology changes, as the threat landscape changes, so does the how we handle and manage security. So if you think you're counting on Microsoft for this and thinking, oh yeah, if there's a problem, Microsoft's got my back, they do, but only on the light blue stuff. And your data, your devices, who you are, that's not them. So just be aware of that, and understand that's kind of one of the foundations of the things I'm talking about when I'm talking about why we're here. Um, One of the reasons we're here, though, is also to talk about Microsoft Power Platform. So this is a specific sort of suite of applications and services and technologies that Microsoft puts together. Some of these are older, some of these are newer, some of these are evolving. This is the current stack of what they have, and it does evolve over time, including the names of some of these things from a branding perspective. They do that. So we're going to talk about some of these things and how they interact, and why we're talking about them is because they're really easy to get. We're going to talk about why that is to do and what you might do with these. So we're going to jump in on a couple of these and talk about that. Now, some of these at the top you might have either heard of if you've been to any of our Tobin webinars before, some of our hidden gems, uh, applications, or AI webinars, and you might have heard about some of these. And we have sometimes talk about some of the underpinnings. I want to talk about the underpinnings of why this is important, and I want to just quickly kind of touch on what these are below, because as I talk about these different uh, technologies across the top, you're going to hear me reference why they're cool and why they're useful by some of the reasons on the bottom. First of all, one of the things Microsoft has the concept of called data connectors. Data connectors are, you can think of them as widgets or little wizards or um, little components, little apps that help you connect your any of the above to other data sources. So this could be data sources that you have inside your Microsoft 365 environment. These could be outside data sources from third parties. These could be public data sources. These could be data sources from your CRM that will pull data into maybe you've got a really nice CRM system that really is specific for your industry, but the reporting is just terrible, or it's complex. You just don't have time for it. You're like, hey, if someone else could use the reporting, how could we do that? A lot of times that data connector is that way you can get at that information from your business system. There's the AI builder components here behind all of this. Microsoft is 1,000% in on, as other companies are, on artificial intelligence, and they're using it to enable their tools to be more user friendly, to be more automatic, to be like more things you can do on your own. So along with all of these things at the top, there's going to be options for using the AI builder to help you develop or use any of those at the top. You've got Microsoft Dataverse, and that is if you've ever heard about like a data dictionary or databases where you've seen like, or you've ever done anything where you've created a database where you create, tables, and then you reference and you link the tables, and then the tables, maybe you've got a tables about a customer, and it might be customer ID, and then you put in the name, and then you put in their last name and put in their phone number, and you get these fields that start to develop. And that's kind of a thing that just happens a lot when people are building these kinds of things. And so what Microsoft does, as do some other organizations, they have a shareable database with a lot of predefined data structures that you can use with your applications. And based on security and permissions and things like that, the data is only scoped to you, but it means you don't have to go define all of these. And why is that? Because one of the things Microsoft wants with Power Platform is that it is easy to use, easy to get started. And one of the things that sometimes is a challenge for people is to define their data. So like, hey, we'll just define it for you. And you'll see in a bit that there are just so many different options for that. Um, got the Power FX. You're going to hear me talk about low code or no code environments. That means, in the back in the day and even today, you can still write programs and develop programs the traditional way, where you're writing code and doing all of that. What's popular in a lot of places is what are they called low code or no code, meaning some of these things are more like a wizard. You click through and enter a few fields, and then you've got some functional tool or some functional process or application that's now automated. But sometimes you need to do a little bit more behind the scenes. And so you have Power FX. We're going to talk a little bit about that. And the managed environments, meaning you've got, one of the things, especially people get concerned about with is, I don't want my team getting access to my data and just creating all these apps and reports all over the place. It creates, we don't have a single source of truth. We don't have a single source of security. There's data flying all over the place. Well, with these managed environments, you can do a little more control over that. So you actually can give people the tools, but give them access to only the data that they're scoped to use and only use it the way they're allowed to use it based on the policies. So you get to do those kinds of things with this too, so you get a little more control. So these bottom things you're going to hear about, they are like the unsung heroes and maybe really make the rest what's so useful at the top. So we're going to jump into that. So, I just went kind of through all of these so you can read through these on your own. Hope, when you go through, but these are what we just went through. And so let's get into what are Power Apps. Power Apps are applications. We've talked about apps, right? As soon as people got smartphones and the app stores, back in the day, and, we've had smartphones now for 20 plus years, that where they have app stores where you can go in, and people have wanted to develop apps and create apps either for the public or create apps even just internally. Some of you are still using a spreadsheet that, you started back when you were in Windows 3.1, and it's that same spreadsheet and you're still, using it today in its current evolution. And it's challenging. It may work, but you're still kind of working in that model. And there may be nothing wrong with that. Maybe it's working the way you want, but there's probably some inherent limitations at times, like being able to use that data at the same time, or for people to be able to use it from their phone without having to squint down on a little web browser on their phone. Maybe you've got some people in the front lines, the people that are out in the warehouse or people that are out right with the customers, and you want to have them do data collection. You wanted an app for that, even if it goes back on the end and feeds a spreadsheet. So there's so many things you can do with these apps, and it's the platform is pretty easy to get into, and there's a lot of examples and things like that. Um, and with this data, you can use that Dataverse that I mentioned, but it can work off your spreadsheet. Or if you have a database, you're using a business system and it's got an SQL database or some other system, you're going to see there's like thousands of connectors out there for different kinds of databases and systems and cloud services. And you can use them on a browser. You can use them on a mobile phone. You can use them on a tablet. So if you're trying to make something more mobile friendly, you can do that. And even if it looks like an app and you're like, hey, I don't want my data out there, even if it is an app, I'm concerned about the public getting at it. Well, these are scoped to just your business. So when they run the Power Apps program, they have to log in with their business credentials. And if they ever are not allowed to use that anymore or not available to use that anymore, you can take away their rights. You can put back and make it so that it's not available. So the apps are great, and some of them are pretty easy to develop too. And like I said, there's samples out there. So Have you ever wanted an app? Have you ever wanted something that's just easier to use and manipulate? Um, these are kind of what the screens look like. In the back on the left, you're going to get this opportunity, and I'm going to do a quick demo of these too, is you start off with the wizard, and you're going to see that as kind of a familiar theme through the Power platform that Microsoft has. They're trying to make it easy for the end user. So you pick a template, you connect to your data depending on what that template is, and then you get these screens that are just built for you, like this case, an accounts screen. So people can go and you can go in and it might just be fine. And, hey, all I need somebody to do is go grab, their city, their name, and their phone number. That's all I need. And then can turn it into an app on their phone to do that. So we'll take a look at what does something like that look like here. Let's take a look. Change the sharing. Kind of bounce back and forth a little bit, and I'll hopefully do that with grace and ease here. So this is in a web browser. I've got a number of apps tabs open at the top. We're just going to start off with each one. So this is Power Apps. You're wondering, how did I get there? If you go to your main 365 page or any of the main Microsoft pages, or you go to powerapps.com and log in from there, or you click on your logo at the top here, your Microsoft, and go, or you click on the waffle menu and you find one of the different apps, and you'll find Power Apps here, like down here, and you can click on it and move that up to the top and use it however you want. But you get there and you get to the home screen, and what does it start with nowadays, right? It starts with, I have a problem. Describe a problem that your users have today. So this is the AI integration or AI creation assistance that I was mentioning before as the underpinning. So it's going to help you. Hey, here's some prompts it gives you at the top of some samples of ideas. If you want to try those, we're not going to go into a huge, like building a whole app here. We're going to go just do some basic things because I just want you to really get a flavor for what it looks like. So, and you're going to see on the left side, you've got lots of different options here for what's in the Power Platform. And if I want to go create an app, I can say create, and I can say start with Copilot, start with data that I've got, start with a page design, or start with a blank canvas. And this kind of depends on what it is that you want to do here. But I'll pick, I'm going to pick a simple one here. I'm going to pick an onboarding task, and you can give it a name. I can call it whatever I want. And you can see it's connecting to some data here, right? Because you've got this app. This is one of the things that's nice, right? There's lots of systems out there to create apps. There are lots of systems. There's not a lot that immediately are connected and know who you are and what data you have access to and make it available to you inside of inside of Microsoft 365. And so for some of you, that's really all you really need. That's all you really want. So I'm going to pick an app here, and it'll chug for a little bit. And this is just Microsoft getting things set up for you. So you can hang out and think about what are some of the ideas that you would want an app for. If you could give everybody who's got a phone, this is Android or so it wants to sign in. I'm going to pick a different one here. I don't want to go through all of that for the demo. I'm going to say don't allow right now. It'll complete. Still see what it looks like. So it's very friendly. It's got a lot of prompts here to see what it looks like. And you can see what it looks like. Here's the screen. You can see I've got a welcome screen. Here's the ad setup screen, profile. You can see it starts to pull in even some data. Knows it's me because I'm putting this in. So it's kind of nice. You get to kind of develop as you go, and it's got some samples in there, right? This was a sample template I pulled in, and it's got some things. So I don't know. Here's an example of how do you onboard people? How do you interview people? Maybe you could take this app and use it for interviewing people, grab things like that. So very user friendly that way. I'm not going to save it right now. Actually, I'm going to save it so you can see what it looks like back at the. So that is quick thing you Power App. So again, web front end, pretty easy to go through, get things set up. So we'll go back now to our webinar, PowerPoint. So that's kind of why I gave you a little sample there. So again, you can kind of get a flavor for it. So that is Power App. So that is making apps for your system. Okay. It's another tool inside of this called Power Automate. Power Automate serves a different purpose inside of the Power Platform. This is to automate tasks and processes that are more repetitive, things you want to have happen without anybody needing to do it, kind of automating things in the background. And it's these little recipes, these flows you put together. And there's a couple examples here, like a flow that says, hey, anytime, if you look at the middle one, anytime someone inserts a row into Excel, or I'm sorry, insert a row in Excel when a new email arrives in a shared mailbox. So you could think, hey, that's a business process we could set up. I could have a mailbox set up that is maybe monitoring um, a promotion item. It could be monitoring a support line. It could be monitoring something on the sales side. That's a mailbox that can be set up. You get those included with your Microsoft 365 subscription. And you can create a Power Automate that when no one has to go check that mailbox anymore. When it comes in, it'll automatically drop it into a spreadsheet. And then whoever's monitoring that spreadsheet is going to have the latest and greatest updates. So it's a simple example of something you can do with that. Again, looks similar to what I showed you before. You're going to pick a template if you want, or you can create from scratch. You have a lot of different ones set up for you, which are great. Some of them super useful right away. Almost certainly there's probably something in here that might be useful and save you some time now. And then you can go in and tweak it. So let's take a look at what that looks like. So I'm in the Power Automate section. Same thing, create from scratch, start with templates if I want. If I want to use the AI and have it create one for you, you can try that out. You've got those pieces in there. It's, save some time, see what it can create for you. But like this one, save Office 365 email attachments to a specified OneDrive for Business folder. So this is something a lot of people do, right? Sometimes people have part of their job or part of the task they're doing is they get, an RFP that gets emailed into the sales email address. And then they want to take that and move it somewhere or do something with it so that someone can act on it. So I'll pick this one as an example and say, yeah, I like that. Let me click on that. I can see what it's got here, and it needs permissions and all of these things. That's why I was talking about what's nice is the security is built into what's here. So if I try to get permissions to something and create one for my employer and I don't have access to something and I try to give myself access to this, I just won't be able to. But so if I give them access to a specific or not or access to certain licensing or technologies, those might show up here. If they've got it, they'll have access to it. If they don't, they won't. So pick continue and you get Microsoft chugs around a little bit here. And you get, if you look at like flowcharts, if you know anything about flowcharts, this should look somewhat intuitive to you. Okay, on a new email, right? That's the thing I want to do. What's going to happen? So I'm going to click on this condition and I'm going to say who it's from. So I could say it's from sales at tobinsolutions.com. I could have other conditions in here. You can get very complex with the logic if you want. And then what happens with that? If it's true, if it came from, if it's false, just do nothing, right? Basically just exit out of here. Nothing's going to happen if it's false because I'm not going to put an action here. But if it's true, I want to go into these actions and create a file when the condition is satisfied. That's there by default. I'm just opening these up to see what's in here to show you. And here's what it's going to do. It creates the file and it's going to put it in the root of my OneDrive. And if I want to click the browser here, I can browse through all my OneDrive folders or other SharePoint sites or other places. It's going to put the name in and then it'll save it. And then when you're done, you say save. And now this is going to start running on all the emails that come in on the attachments. You can save them, you can test them out. So you can see it takes a moment to save here. There we go. Flow is ready to go. And they recommend you test it, right? Because we are kind of doing some programming here. So you want to be careful that this wasn't something I just ran to, go email something to everyone in my inbox or something like that, right? So it's programming, you're automating, you're doing some things. So you want to test them out, you want to see how they work, and you can start to build them up and you can get a list of flows and do all of that. So that's just a quick example again, not getting into details of there, but again, more to show you how easy it is to jump in and how there's a lot of samples to play with and how there's, a little danger there. Careful. Let's see. So let's jump back to PowerPoint. So let's pause for a second. I've shown you two really incredibly powerful tools. Take a moment. Does anything pop up yet? You want to make a note? Anything on the sales side? Anything on the finance side? You know where these are also great? For standard operating procedure kind of stuff. You want to automate anything from your handbooks, from your policies, from your how-tos, not only giving them access to the documents, but automating components of it. They have to collect information at the end of a job. They have a tool to collect the information. All right, cool stuff. I hope you're seeing this and as excited as I am. So let's get into Power BI. This is another part of the platform, Power Platform, and it's really about taking the data from a lot of different sources. Remember all the connectors, the Dataverse, all those things I showed you earlier. Could be the data you're collecting from your app. Could be data you're bringing in through your Power Automate. And you can make dashboards. You can create reports. These can be like standard reports of, traditional, paginated reports that you want to print out and create and distribute as a PDF to internally or to your customers. You can do that, and you can also use it simply as a dashboard where you have taking that data and it's now presented for you in just these beautiful graphics and on your phone. And these are live. These aren't just static. You can click on the graphic and see, click on that chart and see what's that source of that dip there. You've got you've got your metrics there and you see a dip and I want to jump in. What is that? I can click on that and it'll drive into whatever I set it to be as a drill down. It could be more data. It could be another view of the data and more graphics. It could be just a dive in on just that, couple days to see what happened. So it is enormously powerful, especially as a business owner or as a manager or as anybody that has to, uses numbers as part of dealing with how they manage and operate in their day. You can get them at their fingertips. And this can be taking data again out of um, your database, out of your business database. That's one of the ways we're using it at Tobin. We have a business management system that we use, and it's got a report writer that leaves a lot to be desired and doesn't meet all our needs. And so, we're using Power BI. It's much more flexible. And we use something called an on-prem data gateway. The on-prem data gateway, and probably I'll talk about it later here too, allows us to take data inside our network and easily bring it into Power BI, into the Power BI service. So we have up-to-date information on our phones in a very secure way. So the Power BI desktop is an application you get that's free, first of all. You don't need to pay for any Power BI features if you simply want to use it for its report writing capabilities. If you are good at report writing and you've got a data set and you've got like an Excel spreadsheet or a PDF of information or whatever, you can use it for just that. You can pull the data in, you can extract it, transform it, load it in. That's the lingo for dealing with how people dealing with analytics around these things. Just taking the data and getting into a usable format linked the way you want so you can start to put together the dashboards and the what you want to how you want to represent the information. And so the Power BI desktop is free. So you can do that. You can download it. You don't even need a license and use it. And if you want to use it with the Power BI service, which there's other tiers you can add on to your Microsoft licensing, and that is will let you from a web browser see everything, or from your phone seeing the Power BI data. And after that, if you want to see it, you can share it with your team, and there's all kinds of things you can do with it. So again, very similar kind of vibe to what I was showing you before, flow as far as what you do. You get things going, you get it up to the cloud, you share it, and let's take a look at what that looks like here. So got some sample here. Again, same thing. How did I get there? Went to the waffle menu, that kind of a thing. You can see all the different apps, including Power BI. Go there and see what's there. There's some sample data if you want. You get a workspace you can start. So this is some sample data. For example, this is all through the web, but this pulled in some data. And it looks really nice, right? You can have a heck of a leadership team meeting. You could have a great meeting with your HR people when they're talking about, salary needs, whatever these are. This is just sample data. This is not Tobin's information. These people don't work here. But you've got other information that'll flow in and you can change, and it's live. So if I click and I say, let me just see January, and I click on that, it automatically changes it. So I can see just that. If I want to go and see just May, I can do it that way. So now I'm showing you this from the web, from a browser. You can do this from the app on your phone. You can get these to look nice on your phone. They can be designed to work specifically on a phone or to flow better on a phone. And from a phone, as a manager, as a leader, as anybody who needs up-to-date information, you could have this say every day, pull from your management system every hour, pull information, shoot it up into Power BI and give it to people that just need it. They open up their phone, they've always got up-to-date information. And if you want to make it live, real-time information, there's ways to do that too. You can really have it do all kinds of things, but it almost becomes like these reports become like apps as well, kind of a different kind of an app. Like sometimes you just want to get at the information and see what's happening. You can color code, hey, these numbers are the right numbers. These numbers are the wrong numbers. These are, look good. Let's mark them green. These numbers are in danger. Let's mark them yellow. Those kinds of things. So I get excited about this because as a business owner, I like to have this kind of thing. How's the business doing? Is it going the way we intended it to go that day, that week, that moment? And Power BI is a great place to do that. And it's pretty inexpensive and it can pull in all your data. So again, not going to go into, um, like I said, you could spend a week just spending just on Power BI. All right, Power Pages. That's another piece of the Power Platform that might be really useful to you. Um, Power Pages is what they call a low code, software as a service platform designed for creating, hosting, and managing modern business websites for external users. So basically, this is a application. If you know WordPress, that's kind of what Power Pages is. It's not exactly WordPress in a lot of ways, but it's very similar in the sense that you get a web front end to create your websites. They've got templates for different things. They have plugins for different parts, and you can build these. They're functional for the web. They're functional. They look nice on web phones. They've got fluent design or responsive design, so they'll look good on phones, and they're smart. They can talk to some of the things we've done, like these. You can pull in information from here. You could say collect information from our website. You can have that information go into a spreadsheet, and the spreadsheet can automatically update information into Power BI. So you can start thinking about the power of these things. You've got how these things flow. Uh, this may be the kind of site that might be your main public facing website, but maybe not. You want to look at it for what its intended use is. They've got a couple different ways you can roll this where you can be authenticated, meaning they get a login ID and password to see what they're allowed to see, which could be just for your team. You might have this be for some of your outside team for some of those things. It could be for customers that are going to connect, partners to see status. It could be for special customers. There's all kinds of use cases for that. Or you can set it up just to be anonymous, where there's anonymous things, like any website, anyone can go to it and use whatever features you set up. So we'll take a look at that and guess what is that going to look like? How do you think that's going to look if you had to bet? Yep, here you go. You got in the back, you can see you've got templates you pick, or you can start from a blank page. You go through the wizard for whichever one you pick, and then you get an editor that'll let you tweak what's there. So in this case, we can take a look and I'll give you an example. But it's pretty easy to use and it does a nice job of what you want. If you're trying to make something, again, it may not be the perfect thing. There's going to be web designers out there, and even, myself, I could look at these and say, there's a lot nicer, sort of cleaner way to do some of these things, but there may not be a faster way to do it that looks like good enough where hey, if I can get this out here, this will actually solve a business problem, which is more important than having it look perfect or having every piece working perfectly. The security is there, the functionality will be there, and it may give you a tremendous boost and be able to solve some problems now. May let you prevent some fires that are going to be there if there could just be this little system, this little app, this web page where I could gather this information, create this process. So it is a tremendous opportunity. And Here's Power Pages. Got there through the waffle menu. Again, same thing. Go down to find your Power Pages in there or whatever you have. For apps, they've got templates. You can start with Copilot. You can say, hey, I want a website to do what? To gather requirements for bids. Great. It's going to come out there and it's going to put together a template for you. And you can see what it looks like. If you want to start with different templates, they've got that too. Got a lot of starter layouts there, so I can just pick one, take a look at it and say, is this what I want? You can see this is what it's going to look like on a desktop. If this is mostly going to be more mobile, you can see what it's going to look like there. I can say, yep, let's use that template. And then we're going to watch it chug. Going to give it and here is it gives a sample site name. You can try other site names if you want. So if you want to get your business name, because these do have to be unique, because if you notice, it actually ends up being at this Power Apps portal. So you can call it whatever you want. It says that's available because it recommended it, so that's good. And they put, you can link other things. If you have another address from your website, with your actual domain, you can forward it to these so it's more friendly for whoever the intended audience is. It's a real common practice for doing applications the way this is. And you can see at the bottom, it's cranking away. Building. Very exciting part of the webinar. Are you thinking of ideas? Do you have a website that you could use if you had for collecting information, for requests, for giving information? Maybe you want to set your clients up. They keep calling you to get a status. And instead, you set up a private website where they have to log in with proper credentials. And when they go in, they see their status report. And now you've got a little time back in your day to focus on what's next. What else is important that you can be working on? Takes a little bit going through the style sheet here. Checking permissions. All right, still going here. We'll come back to that in a second. I think this is almost like would become like dead arrow. I think it just finished. So here it is. Here's the website. And if I click on it, it says it's getting it ready. Let's see if it's up yet. We said this was requiring permissions. So this will let you use let people use their Microsoft account, which a lot of people have. People are getting accustomed to that now, where you can go to a website instead of having to create a new identity. You can just use your credentials. That's really handy. That's real low friction for people, and then you don't have to manage the security. Well, we're still loading here, so I'm going to go back over and we'll come back if there's time on that, but I think you get the idea. And once I have it, we're able to go in and edit it. The last piece is what's called Copilot Studio. I think they used to call it Virtual Agent. So it's been around for a bit, but it's been rebranded. And that is a conversational AI platform. So lets you create agents and not just like kind of lame old school bots where you had a few questions you could program it with, and if it had the answer, it could provide it. But really more sophisticated, artificially intelligence driven agents that, if you've worked with anything on Copilot or ChatGPT or any of the um, uh, LLM style AIs that are out there now, it works like that. And they call them agents, meaning it can also be proactive, not just reactive. Um, so, instead of just waiting for somebody to ask it to do something, it can say, uh, hey, when somebody goes to our web page that we just created on Power Pages, if they answer this kind of a question or they put something on the web page, bring up and do this with the AI. Have it email them something and then pop up something to say, hey, do you want to chat about this? And then it emails the salesperson to let them know that someone's ready. So you can program these things behind the scenes, and they're different than just automate processes I was showing you before because those have some logic to it. This can do things at a whole other level. So similar thing, give you an example of what some of those are. They give you a couple samples. Again, you go through the templates, you pick one, you get it set up, and you go. So not a shocker that you've seen that before several times in this webinar. And that looks like something like this. So let's see, let's first check. Oh, here we go. So this was the web page. We're going to just jump back and finish that off before I go back to the uh, Copilot. And that is, here's what it is. There's a sample web page. Now, there's obviously, if I go back in and edit, I will have options to change company name and do that. But for some of you, this is what you want. For some of you, all you want is like, the basic web page. Some of this checks the box for you. And then we can update your DNS so that when people type in, www dot your name, it'll take them to this page automatically. So they don't have to remember this weird link. And you have to put this weird link on your business cards or anything. And this can be, you can see like sign in, different pages. You can add other pages here. So it can get very sophisticated as far as a simple click through thing can get. And it may, like I said, for a lot of you, it may check a lot of boxes. It may scratch a lot of itches some of you have. It may solve a lot of problems you've got. Right now, it's set up as private. Only certain people use it, meaning you can assign it just to certain people. It could be customers. Remember, you've gone to any of our other webinars and we talk about hidden gems of Microsoft 365. One of the hidden gems is you can invite guests. You can invite outside people. So this could be your web page that you want to have for your business partners, for your elite customers, for your remote employees, whatever you want it to be. So, all right, that's enough on that. Going back to here, we've got the Copilot agents or home. It's asking you to describe your agent. What do you want it to do? Do you want it to be help desk? Is this for HR? If you were putting an ad out for somebody, and here's some samples, sample website, sample financial insight, safe travels, IT help desk. There's even an ad for that, right? A lot of our things that we do can be successfully done and in a lot of cases work well for a lot of uses with the artificial intelligence that's out there either through Copilot or ChatGPT. Um, so if I wanted to pick one here, I'll pick the safe travels one because that was what I had pictures of there. And then it just brings it up and says, this is how you set these up. So you give it a name and you give it a description, and this is what you're telling it to be. This is what you're saying you want this AI agent. You are an assistant that helps answer questions about traveling safe both domestically and internationally. Please respond in a polite manner. So now, when anyone uses this Safe Travels AI agent, that's what it's going to do. You can try to get it to other stuff. You can say, "Oh, can you help me with fixing my car?" And it'll probably say, "Well, I'm not really here to do that. You might want to seek a something else." So you're kind of locking it in, and you can get more specific about what it can do. You can scope it to some of the data that you have inside your business for giving additional knowledge here. You can give it suggested prompts for people if you know how they're going to use this. Maybe this is an onboarding for people when they come into your business and you want to say, hey, use our agent when you're onboarding for initial questions. And what are things people ask when they're onboarding? They might say, where's my onboarding checklist? Or, how do I uh, get the policy handbook? Things like that. You could put those prompts in there for people. You could have it have those kinds of things and then save time, make things easier for people. And when you're done, you would then just say create, and it'll go do its familiar chugging along here while it's setting up your agent. Look on the left while it's coming up here, you can see there's agents, but then there's flows too. So it's what happens with these agents. Remember, these are things that are smarter than just looking at who, uh, I gave that example before about emails with attachments. I could say, uh, if I wanted to use an aspect of the artificial intelligence, what's something I would want a human to do if an email came into um, the sales hotline mailbox and I wanted, someone to act on it. What would I want someone to do? I'd want something to look like it was like a, hey, we need this now. This is a hot bid, or this is from like a key client. You could use one of these AI agents to look at the sentiment of those emails coming through and saying, is this person excited? Is this like a hot deal? Oh, is it coming into our customer complaint line and they are lit up angry? I want that to go to right away to the manager versus to the person who handles the first line of complaints. So you can do things with that as part of this, and you can start to see how some of these come together. But here's the agent. It's all set. You can add tools, you can build topics, you can publish it, test it out, put some topics in here, some samples, and then you would use it. Again, we're not doing a deep dive on exactly that. We'll do more of those in the future on a couple of these and build these out. So, but the idea is it's kind of the same thing. You don't have to stand up a server like back in the day, back in my day, and you still can if you want, stand up a server. You can do more complex coding projects and build applications and do all of these things with a lot of other tools, but you're not going to see a lot of them do it as easy as these can with the security and what's built in and around what you've already got with your systems. The Let's go back to the webinar here. So, you've got the Power Platform out there. You've got these different pieces. You don't have to use all of them. You can use pieces of them. You can use components of them. You can start. They've all got the connectors and the Dataverse access. And BYOD, sometimes that stands for bring your own device. This is like bring your own data, right? There are things you are getting that you get like a spreadsheet from a partner or from a client or whatever it is, and you're always doing something with that data, copying it, manipulating it, reporting on it, making decisions based on it. Or you're the one filling that information in there. You're putting, again, this stuff, how do I get that into the spreadsheet? Because I want to get to the analyzing it, but at first I got to enter all this information and it's, how can I make this easier on the people that collect data? So all of these things connect. It's an enormous opportunity and it's not that expensive. I mean, some of these things, because they're built in and you're not having to stand up a server and stand up all these things. And, some of these things are $10 a month, $20 a month per user, which, I know adds up. It can be real money, but there can be real value What is the value you can get? What did you come up with in an area of marketing or sales or service? I'm a business owner. I've been doing this for a long time. I got, challenges. I got leaders that come to me with their challenges. I know I'm not alone in this. And, as evidenced by the number of uh, TED Talks and business books on how to, you know, get more, do better, fix problems, solve issues, explore opportunities, manage risk. You all have these challenges out there. You all have these opportunities. So pick some of those areas and what are the goals you need there? What do you need? What's can be something that someone's doing over and over and over again, and they're like, I don't have time to do X, Y, and Z. They got the capability to do X, Y, and Z that you've been asking them to do or you've been wanting to do. Maybe you're the one, but you're like, I just got to keep tending to this one process. And it's always time I get it, it interrupts my flow. Well, maybe you use Power Automate and create an automated flow for it. Find little things. There's probably some low-hanging fruit kind of stuff you can get. But by and large, just put something on the calendar. This webinar is going to end here in a couple minutes. I'm going to be around for questions. I'm sure some of you have some great ideas. Write them down on a piece of paper and then put something in your calendar right now to go back to that piece of paper. Whether it's to you to start going to the next level with these things, to rewatch this, to do the survey that you're going to get when Amanda sends out our link to the survey to tell us how we did on this and what you want to see. But I'm telling you, there is diamonds in the river. You got right in your own backyard, you got what you need to have an awesome summer, which will be probably the last time I'll talk to you live, unless you're calling us about something else. We've got this will be the last one. We'll do our usual summer break and be back when most people are back. So I hope you have a great, safe summer. Hope you have an awesome time, and hope if you end up or someone like me and you kind of like to geek out, if that's one of your pleasures, this is a great place to geek out with in the Power Platform. Play with some of those templates, see what's out there. And if you get stuck or you want some help or you want to take it to the next level, give us a call. Um, and or you think someone in your office wants to hear this, and if or any of the other topics we talk about security or any other aspects of 365. And yeah, I think that's it. I think I did that backwards. I want to do that and uh, oh, there we are. So we're good. Any questions? I'm here. Otherwise, thank you very much and have a great summer.